They're alive.
Are we live?
You are?
Well, it's 5:30 on the dot, so we can call the meeting to order. I think the first thing that we have to do is look at the meeting minutes from May. I think was the last time that we met. I would entertain a motion to approve these minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We will approve the meeting minutes. Looks like primarily tonight, we have some old business to review. I believe kind of the first thing up would be an update on the annexation, and that's the one on 19. Rob, do you have anything on that?
The one on 19, I'm thinking the one that stayed, or County Road 103.
103
and County Road 42.
Is that not down 19?
No,
It's
it's west about 3/4 of a mile, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So it's 103, straight north off of Nelson's Parkway,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and then County Road 42. You're talking about the property on what would be the northeast corner of that intersection. Was recently purchased by Scott Tuttle. It's his intention to rezone that, and obviously go through annexation. And right now, we're waiting on the annexation of the Martin property to finish its remonstration period, which I believe will take us through roughly the end of the month into the beginning of next month. And then we'll be able to start the annexation process for Scott Tuttle's property. Meanwhile, he has submitted paperwork to the county to rezone that piece of property. And we had a meeting, I think it was on Tuesday. I had a meeting with Scott. Of course, Justin was there.
JPR was there.
JPR, the town was there, Scott was there. And we just talked about what it would take to get assets to that property, to get water and sewer to that property. And JPR did most of the talking. They presented something. Scott did not find it remotely palatable, which we didn't expect, but that was kind of the first conversation about it. So they're going to revisit what it would take to actually put in a closed loop system that would encompass that annexation and that eventual property out there. There's other property out there that it would make sense for the town to consider annexing. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even see the numbers. Alex was there, Scott saw the numbers, but like I said, they did not appeal to Scott at all. So we
As
began-
far as costs that
Costs.
Scott would have to pay in order to do that.
Correct.
Okay, so we need to know what that is.
But there's, if you can maybe chime in here, maybe, or whomever, but there are other ways that we can look at that. They talked about establishing a new TIP district, and how whatever money he does spend could over time come back to him in the form of basically a tax rebate. Not really a rebate, but it's a repayment. The taxes that are generated off that property could get kicked back to him to help offset the cost of that exchange. But there are other ways that revenue could be generated to help expedite the payback to Scott if other people would establish businesses out there, they would become part of that TIP district. Their connection fees could be sizable, up to I heard $3,500 up to as much as $16,000 to connect. Those monies could also then go to repaying Scott for that. But I think the total cost that he would have had to spend was somewhere around $4.5 million to get assets out there.
Yeah, so the reason we were meeting with the developer was, he wouldn't really have to pay it.
Right.
He'd have to hold the bond for it. and pay that, but those payments will be made via a reimbursement arrangement from tips generated from the
Yep.
project. And also to be reimbursed potentially by the capital benefit assessment fee, which is generated by new connections to that loop area, which JPR proposed around $3,000 an acre. So depending on how big your property is, it could be
Yeah.
substantial.
If
So-
somebody's doing some, commercial industrial development out there, need fire protection,
Correct.
that's still cheaper than putting in a giant well with a fire pump and everything else in there.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, they were looking around the 4 million mark for the full loop project.
Yeah.
And I know other municipalities have done that with developers who are okay with that structure, where they carry the bond and they make the payments. The payments are really coming from property taxes that they're paying on their building. So I don't know if he really understood the structure was part of it, but I also understand being hesitant to take on a debt in an amount that's so much more than what you would otherwise expect to pay just to connect.
Yeah.
So we're probably more looking from the town to figure out how the town will manage that project moving forward and how to fund that, whether a bond needs to be issued, whether it can be funded with cash on hand from leftover water treatment plant money from SRF, plus TIF funds, plus whatever is in the current budget.
With the expectation of those new $10 still repaying it.
Correct. In that scenario, it would really just be, there wouldn't be any restrictions on those TIF funds. It would just be coming back to the redevelopment. So 100%, because previously it was, if the developer had carried the bond, we would have basically sent all of the TIF generated money from that area, or 80% of it, straight to the developer for him to then pay the bond with.
Oh, I see.
So now, if the town fronts the money, it all just comes back to the town, into the redevelopment fund. And that will also, since we won't have to issue a bond necessarily, I mean, maybe the town will still want to. But if you don't, then the life of the TIF will theoretically last longer that way. So there's a benefit to the town in that sense, if the town manages on that side.
In that discussion is also what grew out of that discussion, the discussion about water pressure on the south side of town. And so JPR is also looking at a possible solution to that. And it seems like with each and every passing week, the whole notion of the booster station becomes more and more costly. And so with all that being said, they're looking at, it might just make more sense to erect a new tower to address, which would not be a Band-Aid at all, but it would be a permanent fix for the low pressure situation up there. The proposed location would be somewhere along Nelson's Parkway, probably in the retention pond, across the street from Schwartz Electric, next to REM. They would have to reconfigure that retention pond, probably fill 50 to 60% of the back up. And then there would probably still be more capacity than is necessary. There's way too much.
Oh, yeah, never even
Well,
has
there-
hardly anything in there.
There's hardly, even after torrential downpours, there's never really anything in
Way
there.
over engineered.
It was way over engineered. So anyway, there'd be plenty of room for a tower that, and they mentioned the style of tower that they're looking at, but it would be basically, I believe, a slip form of concrete base, and then it would have kind of that, like a harvester silo, ceramic coated, glass coated metal, interior glass coating on it, or a capacity up to around 200 or 250,000 gallons of storage in the air, additional storage. And that would address all pressure issues on the south side of town for decades to come.
And what Ron's talking about too, with us, we're already out there along State Road 19, that would help us connect the loop. And if we get that loop connected and then we get the water pressure figured out, that would be tremendous. And then we could still grow if we wanted to grow out in that area for years to come.
And the loop goes where?
Wrong.
down 103, 42.
42 east
Yeah.
to somewhere,
Does it go east to 19 then?
Yeah.
so close that loop, yeah.
It goes straight down the road that they're just near
Yeah.
to on the east of that new project area, and then over to 19.
And the thing is, if we go down Nelson Parkway on the side that we're going to go down, there's some other possibilities that people are talking to. I heard that through the grapevine.
On the west side of the road, yes. There's property there that could be possibly.
So, I mean, people are thinking about, hey, you know what, my farmland's quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's worth even more if it's got utility assets.
Yeah. So, yeah, people are doing some talking and thinking.
Thank
Yeah, thank you, that was good information.
I think that's pretty much it with the annexation updates. We're waiting on, like I said, the demonstration period to end for John Martins, and then we'll begin. I think we've already done groundwork with Baker Tilly regarding Scott's.
Yes, the fiscal plan. is included.
Okay, yeah, the fiscal plan. That was a combined fiscal plan, wasn't it?
Rob, did you say something about it's been quite a while, but there was that plant, when we looked at the map, one of the Thor plants on the west side of the road wasn't part of the TIF district. It was like, what is it? I don't even know what the road is. It's
Ward Street,
It's right.
off of Washington? I'm sorry, Wabash?
Maybe, yes. I think that's where like the feed mill is, and that's the water, not purification, or is that the water, where they did the
The new water treatment
water
plant is on
treatment plant,
Maple.
yeah.
And then just behind that to the west is Frank's place, Mark's place, where he's putting up that 500,000 bushel, half million bushel.
Mhm. Yeah, and then north of there's a plant.
There, yeah, well, and there's a big open field there that I believe is owned by Thor. And that is not.
So that's a possibility too, if all
If you can get Thor to sell it. The only person I know that can get Thor to sell the property right now is Jeff Martin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea would be that if they ever wanted to expand there, that's where they would expand, and then they would, obviously, that would be that part of town.
Correct.
All be-
They're just not willing for that. It's a choice to use property too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I almost like, kind of don't blame them. I wouldn't want to let go of it. 'Cause
Oh, I
if
see
they
the
ever
wisdom
wanna-
of it.
If they ever want to expand into this area, we need to have land. We want them to have land to expand. And
And I'm pretty sure that's Thor. That's not Thor's River. That's
it's
Thor.
still all that stuff, which is good. It's a good- Because if they get landlocked in there, they can't expand there. It's less likely they would expand down in this area because let's stay close to the plains.
Leonard, did I answer that question?
I think so.
Water treatment plant update?
Things are moving along nicely. We're currently working with JPR, Tonka, and let me say Peerless Midwest on dialing the treatment plant in. They're transitioning from the old to the new, and they're still in the process of tweaking everything to make sure that our daily testing and our daily checks are getting the readings they want in terms of water purity and overall cleanliness. So they're toying with the idea of not toying with, but they're moving to a pre-chlorination as they finally decide, is it going to be a biofilm filtration plant or is it going to be a pre-chlorination plant? And it was designed to go either way. The move is to go pre-chlorination, and they may have to change the media out in the 4 filters that are currently in the new water treatment plant. But right now, they're doing a study to determine how involved would that be. I think anthracite is the active, one of the active ingredients that they would pull a certain amount of anthracite out, and then they would put in turbo sand, which is a denser filtering material, which would filter out a greater iron element. And they're doing the study right now to determine exactly what kind of media change they need to make on those filters. So they're still plugging away at it. So the old plant is still online, but they're working as quickly as they can to get that study completed and then to make those final adjustments to put the new water treatment plant completely online. But most of the paving work out there is now done. I believe they've reached substantial completion in terms of whatever production and building work needs to be done, road work needs to be done. I think I don't know if you've been out there lately, but it looks really nice, just in terms of the paving work that needs to be done. There's still some cleanup work that needs to be done, some final touches, but it's definitely far along enough that it's considered substantially complete. We're just waiting again on Tonka, Peerless, and JPR to determine what changes need to take place with the PUD.
Keep your eye out for the ribbon cutting.
Yes.
We're considering the Monday for the work session, October 5th at 5, but we'll confirm that with the application.
Yes.
Tours.
Can I get the first glass of water?
Yep,
Yeah.
and hope it's not cloudy. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. Fingers crossed.
People let Rob have the first.
Yeah, right.
I'll
See what happens.
have Whitey.
How confident are you? Did you do a good job?
Whitey in an ambulance present, just in case.
So,
It'll be fun.
And just to round out the trilogy, the lagoon.
The trilogy. Okay, so the UV system, and you guys, I'm not sure what we talked about the last time we met, so I'm sorry, I don't remember, but the UV system has been purchased, so that price has been solid or frozen. I think we paid $109,000. There is already a suggested upgrade of $12,000 for peak capacity. And
Required by items.
so it's not anything that the manufacturer suggested. The item says, oh, by the way, you gotta do this. So again, the Department of Environment Management, that's fine. So there we go. But that is going to come, or that's paid for. We believe that's going to be delivered sometime in December. The unit itself, the UV unit itself, then the structure that will house it they'll begin manufacturing that, they'll begin building that, and we believe that that's going to be installed and the system should be complete somewhere in April of 27. But right now, we're putting out for bid through a DOT delivery system, right, for the structure itself.
Yeah.
So they've submitted the,
So we won't do bids where you have to accept lowest
Yeah.
bidder, sealed bids. We'll do BLT system where you have qualified companies apply and you can select your preferred contractor. BLT. So it's been published.
that's been published, and I think they've already got several companies that are interested in such a project, according to,
Yeah, what do you call that? I want to say pre-bid, but not bid.
estimate, pre-construction
Yeah,
estimate.
pre-construction meeting, and there were several companies that had been there.
Okay.
but again, projected completion April 2027.
And the bugs are deployed, right? They've been deployed for a while.
Once they're deployed, that process is pretty much complete at this point, correct? I mean, at least what we're, yeah, they're doing their job, they're eating the sludge.
So do they just die and then we have to put more in, or do they just breed, or?
No, I don't think I think they eat until they're dead.
just live at the bottom of the
They
pond.
get their fill of
They
sludge,
create, because they,
and then they become part of whatever that,
They're
that's
like
fast.
microscopic.
I
yeah. They did, how many blood deployments did they do? Were there 2 treatments? Okay. That, I have no idea how many actual administrations they gave, but yeah, that process is well on its way and underway. And I believe, did they give any measurable results on that yet?
Not that I'm aware
So they're doing their job, is the understanding at this point.
Great. Anyone with new business?
I believe so.
Talked about earlier, we would like to set up a downtown TIF.
Yeah.
And see what we can do to get that rolling, because we've got a couple of businesses here, but we would like to help out, especially like where we're gonna put the linger longer
Mhm.
and try to dress up that side of the building. So,
Yeah, and Justin, you and I kind of talked about this in a separate conversation. Is there something that we can do to partner with some downtown business owners, longtime legacy peeps who've been here for decades? Is there something that we as a town can do to partner with them to, whether it's through grant opportunities or just to somehow empower them to make some of the improvements
Right.
that are much needed to their properties, especially some of these buildings that are so significant, historically significant, that I think it's prudent for the town to step up as much as we possibly can, to figure out ways that we can be very helpful in making sure they're getting funding, resources to, I mean, if a structure is in failure, what can we do to fix it? And I think Napanee has some kind of a system. I have talked to Mayor Phil, and I have a meeting scheduled with him, and, is it Mike or Mark? Mike Carroll? Mike Carroll and Todd Newmaker, who's on their planning committee. They were at a conference, we were at a conference together last week in Indianapolis. And so we're gonna start moving forward on trying to figure out what are some things that we can do. The blighted building across the street.
Yeah.
What are things that we can do to make those things better, make them go away, or at least position either the property owner or to either sell it or to be in a position. I know as a business person, I'm not gonna come into a community like Wakarusa and say, I wanna start a fudge factory, or I wanna start a bakery, or whatever the case happens to be. And I'm not gonna go into a building where I gotta spend $350,000 to get it up to snuff before I can start making, donuts and selling ice cream sundaes. So it'd be nice to, I call it white box them, but, just to get them to a point where they're move-inable.
Yeah.
That is not, that's inhabitable right now. That's considered a nuisance and an unsafe building.
we need Matt Moyer to go back and start a bike shop.
Yeah, right.
A motorcycle shop?
Bicycle.
Bicycle.
Back in the
Yep.
day, we bought all bicycles.
Yep.
That's been,
90s.
that's been a few years.
Yeah.
Matt, highly profitable business.
Yes, it would be, it would be
In
very
its own
lucrative.
community, you'll sell hundreds of bikes a day.
Your son could work and fix all the bikes all day long.
But yeah, I
You
just,
only sell like,
for obvious reasons, there's, and we've had people in the coffee shop and all, they're getting a coffee, and it's really interesting to hear visitors saying, we love the community and this is great. And it'd be nice if there was a nice boutique over across the street or something where we could go shop or grab something other than a cup of coffee or a jelly bean or a smash burger.
Sure.
Because, and I like that. I mean, you go to Napanee and you can, they've got all kinds of cool little boutiques where you can go in and buy clothing. So anyway,
I mean, yeah, I view it as something very important for the longevity of the town
Yes.
and for the existing businesses. I mean, too often, You know, it's difficult for a family from Goshen or Elkhart to really justify a trip to La Perosa, you know, even just for the dime store. So if they could do 2, 3, 4, 5 different things while they were in town, I mean, you know, keep them here, give them a reason to stay, you know, make the trip and then, you know, plan a day around it, whatever, has always been something I'm interested in. So, I mean, I do think it's an important initiative, and we do need to figure out how to bring more shoppable retail downtown. You know, I don't want to be a town of insurance agents, like nothing against them, but, you know, I think
Insurance agents and realtors.
we want to be able to thrive to kind of that tourism, I think, to really bring outside dollars to town and fight some of the capital flight that we have. So.
Yep.
Well, and the thing that is like positioning yourself with a TIF and that kind of thing, it's like, you know, it's like down at Napanee. Well, the reason why Napanee has been developed is not because of the TIF district, because people with money invested in the town. But then if you have that, you have people that are wanting to make that investment, you're able to take the dollars from the TIF and use that to kind of help further the development. It makes those dollars go so much further.
Yeah.
Then it just kind of like, okay, somebody dumped $1 million into a downtown building because they think it's cool.
Yeah.
But then that just goes to the state.
Right,
And then it
exactly.
doesn't help.
We want
the
to
town.
keep those dollars here.
Yeah, because then it helps that business, because if somebody does dump money in there and then we're able to take the excess tax dollars from that, use it to develop other adjacent buildings and beautify the downtown area, that brings more development and greases the wheels to get some traction.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, I think, you know, I'm talking very briefly with some town council members myself. You know, I think that it would make a lot of sense to almost have like a joint meeting between the RDC and town council as like a kickoff. And we can start to discuss some of these options, how we can get involved, what establishing a new TIF in the downtown would look like, time frame, probably have Jackson there to kind of like, you know, guide some of that. But I do think that kind of an important next step is if we can get, you know, Phil to kind of spearhead that on the town council side, you know, set up like a little working session between these two
Right.
boards, and then maybe even eventually like in a third one, bring in like somebody from the chamber or something like that, that's gonna understand kind of like some of the representative of those business needs where they say like, you know, it's a grant or it's this or it's that, you know, that can help, you know, establish, you know, the sort of like commerce side of everything. So I think eventually bringing those three organizations together, but I think immediately the RDC and town council should meet a little bit more closely to talk about some of these ideas together, because I know there's a lot of smart people over there that are thinking about these things that, I mean, we honestly started talking about almost a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, when we were examining the Napanee method, we were talking about, you know, the state of some of these downtown buildings. And to Matt's point, I think, you know, we want to capture that and keep it here locally so we can continue to invest and use those funds towards, you know, potentially like some grants or whatever, you know, that we could work with, or loans or bonds or whatever the appropriate, you know, vehicle is for that. Whether it's us figuring out a way to buy some of these buildings, rehab them, and then, you know, like sell them or lease them or do something like that, which, you know, we talked about. I think definitely getting a body like ours in the mix and be able to say like, okay, we have a budget for this.
Yeah, it's certain, that conversation certainly has to start somewhere. And I appreciate the suggestion that you connect with. I don't know what that looks like in terms of, you know, compliance and how they can meet and where they meet. And
Just a special meeting here.
Yeah, and we can do it, you know, but, you know, we need to make a public notice that we're gonna have it because we had all the council members here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would think we could do it like the first week of September, let's see what we can do.
I would think with some of the, and please don't misinterpret this, but with just some of the heat/smoke that rolls towards my office regarding this matter, the sooner the better.
Right.
That we can meet.
So we wanna do it as part of our our meeting on September 1st?
Maybe the working session, you think, or you think it would be the full meeting?
We can do the work
The
session.
work session is probably, I would think, Matt.
Which
I don't
is
know what
the
you thought.
20,
I think that would
which is the 31st.
Yep, August 30th. It's my birthday, by the way.
And the thing is, we can sit here and have this discussion and not make any decisions.
Exactly. No, and that's what I was talking with
Yeah.
council members about. This could be the first of 5 or 6 meetings, but let's like start the conversation.
Let's
Let's
start
get,
yeah.
let's get a cadence on the books of like, okay, we're gonna meet every last Thursday of the month, like in a group or
Yeah.
something along those lines until we feel like we have a direction, you know, that we can both move in.
And part of that group that you might want to bring in is the business coalition.
Business coalition, chamber, yeah, both of
Yeah,
us for sure.
yeah,
we can
chamber.
consider.
Chamber would be involved in that too.
So I have a question. If we would develop a downtown TIF, I know there's other steps that we have to have, we have to develop an RA or RAI and other things. But does the State Road 19 TIF money stay with State Road 19 and then the downtown TIF money, we would have, it would take a while for those funds to build before we could have enough to purchase the building, apply the building, flip,
For sure.
yeah.
Unless we can justify a slender TIF between downtown and 19 along Waterford Street. That would be the first.
For some reason, I just want to move on.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, usually, you like to have them generate where they are, but
There's a few businesses along Waterford that could,
There's
benefit.
one or two?
yeah, and I mean, you do have corridors are a legitimate thing, and if you want to develop, especially sometimes there are commercial along the way, so it's a little bit less conducive now because of the real estate.
Mhm.
You really don't, you want to avoid having like residential properties in your TIF more
Right.
and more now. So finding the pathway, and they do need to be connected if you want to spend funds, TIF allocation area funds need to be spent in or immediately serving the allocation area.
Mhm.
So that's why, I mean, even if it's not in, like, if we wanted to put money towards the water tower, it's outside the TIF, because obviously the water serves
Right.
the TIF area.
Yeah.
Or certain, major
Yeah.
roads that might serve it, you can use it for that. But yeah, that's gonna be the main challenge, it's a slow roll for an established historic downtown where if there were, it'd be helpful if there was like one project that was gonna be coming in that would help, kickstart it. Otherwise it'll be a slow.
Yeah, it could take 10 years
roll.
before you have $100,000 in there or something like that, we're not talking about generating, I mean, this TIF district, which has a significant amount of development and a lot of real estate dollars and property, there took quite a while before we had any amount of money in there that was worth doing anything with.
It took a long time.
Long time.
But, sometimes the downtowns, they do more small projects anyway, because there's not a huge project you're doing all the time, so maybe you're helping out with a facade facelift or something, that's like $10,000 or something, or something like that. So that it is usually
Much
smaller
smaller
scale.
We might still be talking about the same conversations in 10 or 20 years.
Exactly, and then, if the facades really do generate interest, and then maybe people will come, and then maybe you can get a snowball effect going.
Sure.
Is the idea.
Well, if it's gonna take a while, we should start now.
Well, and yes, I think there's no time like the present, I couldn't agree with that more. Yes.
When I come back in age 82 and say, you guys did a great job.
Got $50,000.
And you should put a parenthesis on that.
We'll figure it out.
Awesome.
Okay, any other new business?
You want a budget update?
Sure.
And our list of expenses, our property tax dollars did come in under that revenue line. Our lift station project, I hope we'll get our last payout for our September 1st meeting, but we'll see. But those are getting close to be finished expending. The lagoon cost, we've spent $49,000. Like Rob said earlier, that 109 plus the extra 12,000. That is expected to be paid out in 2026, with the remaining cost to install the UV system in 27. Water treatment plant, the TIF dollars that was committed to that project, it's in the bond at Bank of New York. There's quite a bit that's going to be left over for that, and so it's being discussed to use those funds towards water improvement towards the south end of town. I don't know exactly how that process works, but just so we're all on the same page. You know, if we did do a water tower out there, we're looking at maybe a $3 million one. So that would cover a good portion of that cost. But that's a lot of that's just very preliminary still. That's being discussed.
So we got a $3 million water tower project and a $3.5 million service loop, kind of like on the horizon to be looking at where to deploy capital. And then you'll have a more concrete number on how much money is coming back from that bond. Well, I guess it wouldn't come back to us, but where it'll be used.
Yeah, we're still probably a few months out before the water treatment plant is finished paying for. Then we've got to pay out a percentage retainer that's a certain amount of the completed project price to our owner. There's some engineering costs that could get reimbursed. So there'll be some different factors that go into that, but let's throw out maybe 1.5 to 2 million left that could go towards improving the water pressure down there.
So that could be about half the water tower.
Yeah, could be.
I don't think there's anything super actionable though right now for us to talk about on that side. Okay, great. I would, anyone make a motion to adjourn the meeting? Oh, I guess we should set a next meeting.
Yeah, I have next tentative meeting date if we, well, I was gonna say skip the September meeting and then meet in October unless there's some other business that comes up. Sounds like we're gonna do the special meetings in September anyways,
Yeah.
possibly. So that would be Thursday, October 15th at 5:30. Follow our normal schedule.
You want to make that first one August 31st? And for a work session.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll just
And
make
you'll
sure.
just meet at 6:30 along with the work session?
if that works for town council.
I can't imagine why it wouldn't. I mean, that's.
Jackson, do we need to, is that,
Work sessions are usually already publicly noticed,
They're
right?
But we'll have RDC on and council public meeting to vote.
That's at 6:30.
6:30, yes.
6:30 on the 31st, with the town council in their working session, which is basically the town hall meeting, you know.
And Jackson suggested that we all just short stuff afterwards to celebrate.
Okay.
That sounds great to
Thank
me.
you, Jason.
Be fine with that.
You can get mini tacos over at the Short Stop.
If someone wants to live stream it, we could just meet there.
Yeah, right.
That sounds like a bad idea, Jason.
Oh, let's go for it. See how that goes. We're gonna worry about public affairs.
Okay, excellent.
make a motion that we adjourn the meeting?
Thank you. Do I have anyone second?
Second motion.
All right, all in favor of adjourning the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all opposed? All right, I adjourn this meeting.
Good stuff, guys.
Does Walker have like an economic improvement district? That's a different